Alright, in today's lesson we're going to be talking about the distance formula on the coordinate plane. So we've talked about finding distance in a line on a number line through elementary school and middle school. Now we're going to talk about how to use distance formula when we have coordinates. So in this example we're just going to be using some general points x1, y1 and x2, y2. Alright, so those are going to be any 2 points on my coordinate plane. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and make some points. So we'll call this one x1, y1, and the other one x2, y2. So one of the things that we can do is create a right triangle to represent that. Now what we want to know is, what is this diagonal distance? Let's call that d. So to find these missing points, to find these other sides, let's think about what we would have to do to calculate them. So in order to find these, we would take the height, this segment here, and I'm just going to draw that there so I have a little bit more space. Well, how do I get that? Well, that's following my x coordinates. So I have x2 and x1. I want to find a difference between them. So we're going to do x2 minus x1. And then for our height, we're going to use the y coordinates. So I've got my two y values, and we'll say y2 minus y1. All right, and the order in which we use it doesn't matter, because now we can use the Pythagorean theorem. All right, so Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, so let's go ahead and substitute. So what's by itself? D is by itself. So when we substitute that into this equation, we're going to have d squared by its lonesome. And then my a squared, so one of those a squareds is going to be x2 minus x1 squared plus the b is going to be our other leg, y2 minus y1 squared. All right, and the reason it doesn't matter whether we do x2 minus x1 or x1 minus x2 is because regardless of whether we get negative or positive, when we square it, it's going to be the same thing. So if we want just d, we take the square root of both sides. So our distance formula is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 squared. And that's it. All right, so we're going to do a couple examples together and talk about some different methods that you can use in order to calculate the distance on the coordinate plane.